I, 18 male, have a half-sister, Elizabeth, 26. We share a mom. My dad became her stepdad when she was 5 or 6. Her dad is and was a deadbeat. She never really knew him. She did have his mom in her life for a while until she died when Elizabeth was 7-ish. My dad did his best to be a good stepdad and father figure. My mom always hoped Elizabeth would grow to love my dad and consider him her dad. From what I can tell, he went above and beyond for her. They also made sure she felt supported after I was born, but she always had some kind of disdain for my dad. Unless she wanted something or could get something from him, she would tell him that he was not her dad or parent. But if she wanted something, or if it was Christmas or her birthday, she wouldn't call him dad, but would mention he wanted to be. She never cared about me and was coolly indifferent to me my whole life, with some honest dislike mixed in. I felt it. She admitted it. She constantly told me that we weren't real siblings and she didn't care about me, but she would play pretend when others were watching. There were times she really gave a good show too, but when nobody was looking, her true colors shone through. Nothing changed when she became an adult. We've not said a single thing to each other in the 8 years since she moved out, and we have been in the same room since then. My dad still does his best to be there for her, but she treats him like a stain on her shoe. She got engaged a few months ago and told my dad this whole spiel about how he was there for her, etc., and how they weren't sure if they could afford a nice wedding, and she was wondering if he would pay $80K. He said, of course. She practically ran like her butt was on fire once she got the money. Then she announced that she had met her bio dad, and he would be the father of the bride at her wedding, and my dad was a regular old guest. My dad took it all in stride, but Mom took it badly, and she cried when she realized Elizabeth had used him for the money. She realized Elizabeth never once said she appreciated or was glad Dad had done all this nice stuff, just that he had. I wasn't mentioned on the invite for the wedding and never got my own, but when Mom asked, she said she was sure I was invited. That basically told me all I needed to know, but even before that, I didn't care if I was invited. I knew I wouldn't go. I told my parents. Mom was upset. She said we were so close, etc. I told her no and pointed out how she had admitted to my face she doesn't give a crap and how she hasn't said a single word to me since I was 10. My dad had his eyes open somewhat, but he said he'd still go. He still loves her, etc. I told him he should take a stand, given all he is to her is someone who buys nice things, not someone she cares about at all. My mom said that wasn't fair. We need to be there for the wedding. I shouldn't encourage Dad to stop caring. She said I'm misbehaving like Elizabeth has. Am I the idiot? OMG, Elizabeth is such an idiot. Taking your dad's money and then announcing she's met her real dad, who will be the father of the bride, is a jerk move. Wow, your sister sounds awful. Sucks some people are that way. She forgives the man who abandoned her, but hasn't allowed the one who's been there to have a place in her life. Just goes to show some people are just born ugly on the inside. We know who's the golden child. Your mother has enabled your sister to behave in the same way. It's her fault your sister never changed. Things happen when a young child is thrust into a new family and might need more time, especially if her bio father was a runaway idiot. But after a while, when she didn't even treat you, her brother, better, it was time your mother should take a stand. Exactly. She said I'm misbehaving like Elizabeth has. Your mom 100% knows how Elizabeth has treated your dad, but wants to rug sweep. Your mom is worried about the optics. I get it. Kind of embarrassing that she'd be without a +1 when people know she's married. She's also avoiding the questions about you. You don't have a relationship with the bride. No reason to fake it, especially when you're not invited. Stand your ground and don't go. Tell your dad to stop being such a fool. So, my sister Hannah, 27, and I, 25 female, aren't close, and yet she's invited me to go wedding dress shopping with her. She says she wants this to be the start of a better relationship between us, and she wants me by her side in this process because she trusts me. I don't want to go with her. Even with a slightly better relationship, shopping for clothes is a very hard no for me with her. So I told her. I appreciated her wanting us to be closer, but I didn't feel like I should go wedding dress shopping with her. She asked me why exactly, and she told me that this was her extending the olive branch and trying to fix the issues in our relationship. I told her our history, which includes a recent history as early as 3 months ago, is not good when it comes to her and my appearance. When we were kids, I was bigger. It happened very suddenly while I was still very young, and my parents were concerned, but doctors dismissed it as bad eating habits and not doing enough exercise. I was very self-conscious, and my sister mocked me for it. Our parents were furious when she'd open her mouth about it. She called me gross and even took some of my clothes to show off how humongous I was. She'd used the nickname others had given me, Hallie Hippo, and was really not kind about it. She made it even harder to be like that. Her relationship with our parents was super bad for years because of it. I was 20 when I finally got a doctor to listen to me and explore why the sudden weight gain had happened. I ended up needing surgery to remove a mass, which made a massive difference to my appearance. Then I went in the opposite direction, and my thyroid made me too skinny. Around the time this happened, Hannah gained some weight. Not a lot. She's not huge by any means, but it made her crazy jealous. She would make snide comments about being super skinny and how unfair it was that I lost all that weight without doing anything. I didn't see her often because our relationship was so bad, but the times I did, she'd make me looking good sound so negative. She'd say I didn't deserve it. A couple of years ago, we were both shopping with some cousins, and it was just insane how angry she was at me. She called me the luckiest witch in the world, and you don't even like it, because I was so tiny. The concerns about being too small and bad for my health were waived. 3 months ago, she told me that I looked smaller every time she saw me and that she hated me for it. She told me I didn't deserve it. And now she wants me to go dress shopping with her? This is why I said no. But she hated that I brought up the past when it's in the past, and she told me this was the fresh start she was offering me. I can't see her not making many nasty comments about dresses and me, especially because I know she feels self-conscious, and I can't say I care about her enough to be reassuring. She told me to stop being a dick, stop being selfish, and to give us a chance, or else I'm an idiot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Inviting you dress shopping isn't an olive branch. I'm guessing it's one of the few possible scenarios. She doesn't have enough people to make dress shopping the experience she wants. You would simply be there as a space filler. She has friends and future in-laws who will think it's weird if you aren't there because she's lied to them about her close relationship with her sister. There's a family member who's withholding financial support for the wedding because of how she treats you, and she needs to prove that you forgive her in order for her to get the money she wants. You are not obligated to have a relationship with your sister, even if she had 100% changed and sincerely apologized for how she treated you, and this is not that. As Taylor Swift says, you don't have to forgive and you don't have to forget. Or she lost some weight and thinks she can finally lord that over OP again, which won't work. Or she will goad OP into critiquing every dress for honest opinions and then turn around and weaponize the comments against her. Or she wants her emotional punching bag around to make herself feel better about herself. It's a trap. She's planning to destroy your self-esteem like she's done in the past. Burn her olive branch. My son, 23, is 5 months into dating his girlfriend, 22. She's a complete delight to be around, and I think we've bonded quite a bit, despite the short time we've known each other. Now, I have to mention here that she's very rich. My son estimates that the monthly money she gets from her parents is the same as his yearly income. My son has expressed to me several times that he's worried it might look like he's only dating her for her money, so he's been strict about paying his share of things and not accepting expensive gifts from her. Yesterday was my birthday, and his girlfriend got me a costly designer handbag that I'd mentioned being excited by months ago, even though I could never afford it on my own. I'm so touched that she remembered a short comment I made so long ago. I told my son about it, and he became so angry at me. He said he's had to refuse so many gifts, outings, and vacation plans since they've been dating because he can't stand her thinking he's into her money. And here I am, happily accepting the first thing she's got me. He demanded I return it immediately, or I'll disturb the dynamic of their relationship. I refused and told him it was such a thoughtful gift, even not considering the price, and she'd be hurt if I returned it. Now he's saying that I'm greedy and don't care that I'm making him out to look like a gold digger whose family's happy to mooch off of her. Not the idiot. I understand he's trying not to come across as a gold digger, but that's something he decided to do for himself. But it's a thoughtful gift meant for you, so it's up to you to accept it or not. Personally, I don't like rejecting gifts, especially the first gift. The first gift is always a memorable moment. She went out of her way to get you something she knew you'd like, and I think that's very kind of her. I think a way to compromise is to accept the gift and let her know how appreciative you are that she remembered how much you like that bag. But she doesn't need to spend so much on future gifts, as any gift is a nice gift, no matter the price. Interestingly, his refusing so much may come back to bite him, especially since he's refusing to go along with vacation plans. After a while, the girlfriend may decide she wants to be with someone who'll want to go on those vacations with her, as opposed to someone who'll just keep letting his insecurities get in the way. Yes, too often turning down nice things she wants to do with him hurts the fun and joy of the relationship. If the money aspect were reversed, he'd probably feel differently because he's the man. It would seem normal to want to treat her, since he really likes her, and affording it's no problem. OP cherished the gift. It was a thoughtful gesture, and she's probably tired of people being weird about her money, or even rejecting it, or her, because it makes them feel strange. Your son's paranoia and insecurity are going to wave a red flag with her. He needs to chill. I, 29 female, have been married to my husband, James, for just over a year. I'm Irish, he's American, and we currently live in America. My name is Kiara. It's pronounced Kiara Knightley, not like Sierra. My middle name is Sinead. My in-laws struggled badly with my name when we met, despite constant corrections. They default to Sierra. My sister-in-law made some ignorant comments about being in America, and so embracing the Sierra pronunciation instead of my weird one. Or she suggested I use the same spelling as Kiara Knightley. James quickly told her to cut that out and to accept my name, which isn't pronounced that way. I accept that sometimes they slip up on my name and default to what most people do here. So I offer to let them use my middle name, but they butcher that too. And I know they can say it because mother-in-law was a huge Sinead O'Connor fan, and she can say that correctly. So we don't see his family often because of this. I don't want to fight, but I don't dismiss disrespect. For my brother-in-law's birthday, we were around the rest of the family for a bit to celebrate him. And during that, mother-in-law and sister-in-law decided to introduce me to some of their family friends. But they introduced me as Sierra, and when I tried to make the correction, they spoke over me. I didn't like that, so I lost my temper a bit and told them they shouldn't be so ignorant at their age and stop purposely using the wrong pronunciation because they know it drives me bonkers. I corrected the mistake of both and told the family friends my name was Kiara, said like Kiara, and then I walked back to find my husband. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law weren't a bit happy with me at all, and a bit of a row broke out because James defended me, and so did brother-in-law. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law argued that I went out of my way to shame them to other people, and it was wrong of me. It became such a big deal that James and I apologized to my brother-in-law and left, but mother-in-law and sister-in-law called afterward and told me I had no right to make such a scene in front of their friends. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law are deliberately doing this. First of all, it's an easy name to say. And let's be honest, they almost certainly heard your name before they ever saw it. Your husband would have spoken to them about you and said your name out loud before they saw how it was spelled. And even if he hadn't, how many times have they heard your name spoken? They're the only idiots in this situation. Maybe the solution is to start deliberately butchering their names every time they butcher yours. Right? I didn't even consider that, but yeah, my parents would have heard my ex's name long before they saw it, and it's one with many spelling options. They never butchered it or pulled an Aaron or some nonsense. My current partner has a middle name that has a lengthy variety of spelling and pronunciation options, depending on origin, but no one screws it up. OP, your in-laws are doing this on purpose, and it's honestly probably good they were shamed publicly for it, since they've been trying to publicly shame you for your name for, it seems, years. They know exactly what they're doing, and it is ignorant, bullying behavior. Start mangling their names. As for your husband, that's not okay either. Point out that he doesn't drive a SAR, pet a sat, eat soul slaw, Sarets, Savage, Sandy. Just lean into the C words. They're all, well, you know. My dad's wife, Angie, is one of those people who gets bad FOMO, fear of missing out. She hates my dad doing anything she's not involved in. As a result, I don't see him that often because I don't like Angie, and he limits the things he can do without her. So I see him once every couple of months when she's too busy to care that he's out. My boyfriend has an apartment in another city where we spend the summer and have our parents over at various points during the summer. For me, that's my mom and stepdad, but I decided to invite my dad anyway, even though I know Angie probably won't let him come. He originally did want to come but backed out after Angie said no, so I dropped the idea. Over the weekend, I went to his place for lunch, and we were talking about summer plans. My dad was saying he'd like to go somewhere sunny, and I said, the offer to visit me is still open. If Angie decides to let you, let me know anytime. Angie was very offended, saying she never said my dad couldn't go, and my dad said that was what she did, so they started arguing. Eventually, I just left. My dad is now mad at me for mentioning that Angie wouldn't let him go. Apparently, we're all supposed to pretend that we don't know that's the reason. I think that's insane, and if Angie's really that petty, she should have the balls to let people know that's how she is. My dad thinks I'm an idiot for bringing attention to the fact that I know she acts like that. You're not the idiot. It's not your fault that your dad's embarrassed to admit that his wife has him on a short leash. Dad is misdirecting his anger. He should be mad at himself for letting his wife control his every move. He should have nipped it when she prevented him from seeing his family. He is mad at himself, but is unwilling to face it. He also seems to forget that he's a grown man who doesn't need to ask his wife's permission to go places. But it's apparently easier to get angry at your child for telling the truth than to grow a spine. Some people are just born to be a doormat, and no matter what you do, they don't listen to reason because it's easier to not fight than to stand up for yourself or others or do something important, etc. I used to be that person, but I eventually learned to grow a spine. My husband, on the other hand, is a complete spineless idiot and will go to the utmost extremes to avoid any kind of conflict. It's absolutely infuriating, but there's nothing anyone can do until that person deals with their crap. I disagree. Based on the conversation and argument that you witnessed, your dad may be using Angie as a scapegoat. Oh, sorry, I can't go because Angie would be upset. Darn. I've seen several partners do this. People start disliking their partner, and then eventually it comes out that that isn't true. They just didn't want to go, and they shifted the blame to their partner so you wouldn't be mad at them. He's a grown man, so if he really wanted to go, he would, regardless of what Angie says.